Tonight, when the sun goes down, you are going to do something your ancestors never could. You are going to turn on a light. And in that one small action, you will erase 200,000 years of human experience. Because for almost the entire history of your species, when the sun disappeared, the world went completely, terrifyingly dark. And what happened in that darkness is one of the strangest, most revealing stories about who you actually are. You probably think of nighttime as downtime. Sleep, rest, switch off. But the real answer is far stranger than that. Ancient humans did not treat the night the way you do. They did not fear it the way Hollywood wants you to believe either. They lived inside it. And what they did inside it rewired the human brain in ways that are still shaping your behavior right now. Let us go back. Around 300,000 years ago, your ancestors had fire. Not electricity, not candles, fire. A single flame pushing back a small circle of darkness in an enormous pitch-black world. And inside that circle, something remarkable started to happen. Something that no other animal on the planet was doing. They talked. Anthropologist Polly Wiesner spent years studying the Juhowansi people of the Kalahari, one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer communities on Earth. She recorded thousands of hours of conversation and then did something simple but brilliant. She separated the daytime talk from the nighttime talk and compared them. The difference was startling. During the day, people talked about practical things. Food, tools, complaints, conflict. It was functional, transactional, grounded in survival. But at night, around the fire, everything shifted. Around 40% of nighttime conversation was storytelling. Stories about distant places. Stories about people who were not there. Stories about spirits, ancestors, and forces no one could see. Wiesner called this the origin of a uniquely human cognitive space. The fire did not just provide warmth, it created a stage. And on that stage, your ancestors invented something your brain...
But the night held more than stories. Sleep researcher Jerome Siegel spent years studying hunter-gatherer communities across 3 continents, including groups in Tanzania, Namibia, and Bolivia. What he found shattered one of the most basic assumptions modern medicine makes about sleep. Ancient humans did not sleep 8 hours straight. They did not even try. They slept in 2 distinct phases, separated by an hour or 2 of quiet wakefulness in the middle of the night. Historians had already found traces of this in medieval European texts, which referred casually to first sleep and second sleep as if everyone knew what that meant. Siegel's field research confirmed it was not a medieval quirk. It was the original human sleep pattern, the pattern your body still defaults to when artificial light stops overriding it. So what happened during that middle-of-the-night waking period? People talked softly, they tended the fire, they had sex more often than at any other time. They prayed, they reflected. Some researchers believe this quiet window between first and second sleep was when ancient humans did their deepest emotional processing. When the noise of the day was gone and the demands of tomorrow had not yet arrived, the mind turned inward. Psychologist A. Roger Akirch, who spent 2 decades researching pre-industrial sleep, found hundreds of historical references to this twilight waking state being used for prayer, meditation, and interpreting dreams. Your brain, in other words, was built for a nightly ritual of stillness and reflection that most modern humans have never experienced even once. Here is where it gets even stranger. Ancient humans were not sitting passively in the dark. The night was also when communities made decisions. When Wiesner analyzed the content of those nighttime stories, she found that many of them were not just entertainment. They were social technology. A story about a man who hoarded food carried a moral message about sharing. A story about a brave ancestor who faced a predator set a standard of courage. These stories were not just passed down, they were enforced. They built what researchers call social norms, the invisible rules that hold a group together, and they were transmitted most powerfully at night in the emotionally charged atmosphere of firelight, when the brain was relaxed and receptive and the usual social hierarchies of the day had softened slightly. The fire made everyone equal. The darkness erased rank. The chief and the youngest child sat in the same small circle of light. And your brain still carries all of this. That restless feeling you get at 2 in the morning when you cannot sleep and you do not know why, that is not anxiety. That is your biology waking up for second sleep, looking for a fire that is not there. The way a campfire or candlelight makes you feel instantly calmer and more reflective, that is not just ambiance. That is a 300,000-year-old neurological response to the signal that it is safe, it is night, and it is time to go deep. The reason stories move you so powerfully, the reason you will stay up until midnight finishing a book or a show even when you are exhausted, that is the firelight reflex. Your brain was trained across hundreds of thousands of generations to come alive when the sun went down and someone started to speak. Every night, when the last light goes out and the room goes dark, your nervous system makes a small unconscious search. It is looking for the crackle of wood. It is listening for a voice. It is waiting, without knowing it is waiting, for someone to say, "Let me tell you something." The fire is gone, but the need for what happened around it never left you.